Hey guys, Sonic Smash Bros. And if you recall a while back, I ranted a little bit against SF5 during my meterless invincible reversal tutorial. Now I think it's time I cover all of my issues since the game was updated about a month ago. But first, a little bit of history. When Season 1 first launched back in the game launch of February of last year, I was quite disappointed. It wasn't terrible, but it felt rushed and a little bit bland, lacking a lot of stuff from previous titles, and not to mention Ultra Street Fighter 4 was the much better game anyway. Once all the DLC happened, it was okay. Not great, but it was getting better. And Season 2 went completely backwards. No other way to say it. Which goes into one of my biggest issues with SF5 in general. The game feels way too textbook and lacks a lot of combo creativity. Do you see that? Lights and the mediums. Can you do that in SF5 outside of something like Nash's target combo? Nope, you cannot. And speaking of lacking combo creativity, a lot of characters lost some of their old tools. Just why? Ryuzer Tatsu, he cannot do that from a neutral jump or back jump anymore. Like so. If I can get the input down. There we go. And now this means he can only do it from a jump forward. And even if you do, he can't even cross up with it anymore. Come on, I've done this so many freaking times. There we go. Yeah, he can't even do that anymore. And another issue, I've mentioned it before, but meterless invincible reversals, they were in every other game. And now they aren't in SF5. Season 2 in particular. I forget who said it on Twitter, but he said it best. The last game that I have an invincible reversal was SF2 The World Warrior, but that's because that game didn't even have reversals. I know Ken did in Third Strike, and if Ryu did it in Third Strike, I know he had Shinsho, which damn well was one. Alpha 3 I know had invincible reversals, contrary to what people would say. Well, the vocal minority anyway. I'm pretty sure Akuma's DP was, Nash's Heavy Somersault Shell might have been, as far as anti-air. DPs were for Ryu and Ken in general. Like, the Shotos in general, except for Sakura, had invincible DPs. But I digress. And speaking of certain characters, goes into another problem. Lack of creative playstyles. Character-wise, in terms of movesets, it's there. The problem is, they're all best in one way. Rushdown. This does not allow zoning playstyles whatsoever, and neither does the V-scale system. It makes zoning damn near useless, which I think is kind of a problem, because it's been a core fundamentals-based thing in every other game. Yes, zoning spamming can get a bit annoying, like a lot of Hadouken spammers back in the SF2 days, but a good zoner knows how to use fundamentals right. Knows how to control that space and apply pressure by controlling space. So zoning is a core fundamentals thing if you know how to do it right. When spamming, you either annoy the ever-living hell out of people or get blown up yourself. So yeah, they took away one of the core fundamentals mechanics of the series because of the whole V-skill system and everyone being best in Rushdown anyway. Even Guile, who is literally the only zoner in SF5 right now, is still best in Rushdown. Frickin' +2 on block Sonic Boom, are you serious? Anyway. Speaking of +2 Sonic Boom on block, character balancing. Season 1 wasn't terrible, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Ryu main. I just think some characters were slightly underpowered. And a couple of them really were underpowered. Fang, Geef, Birdie, in particular, those three. And then 2.0 went to absolute shit. We are talking almost as bad as Arcade Edition 2011. Yeah. Big 5 in 2.0? Guile, Urien, Balrog, Laura, Cammy. The top 4 in particular. Ask yourself, was Season 1 Chun-Li better than Season 2.0 Urien? Was Season 1 Ryu better than 2.0 Guile? Not even close. At least the Season 1 top tiers had to play a neutral game. Guile, Urien, Balrog, and Laura in particular can just ignore the neutral game and rush you down with the same stuff over and over and over again. Frickin' EX- straight being +1 on block and still is. I'll get to that in a moment. But yeah, you want proof of this? Infiltration himself stated in one of his interviews on Season 2, and I quote, "You need to develop a counter-strategy against top tiers in order to be successful at this game. Honestly, I find going top tier may be the only way. I think it's time to swallow your pride and go with the top tier." End quote. That is a huge problem with this game. It just goes to show you how bad the balancing is, when even a pro is calling that out. The way I see it, players should not have to switch from the characters they've tried to main all throughout the series, or even when they just picked up the series for the first time. Somebody they tried to main, like some people would try to main Ryu or Ken, or Chun-Li or somebody like them. Players should not have to switch from those characters just to have a chance of winning. At all. Because Guile was straight up ridiculous, and he just basically blew those three characters up in 2.0. 2.5 slightly improved the balance. Slightly. Not a whole lot though, because Balrog, with the exception of the health buff, keeps his 2.0 bullshit. High-low mix-ups like crazy, and one of the most ridiculous pressure games I've ever seen. Guile still being the only good zoner and having a really strong close-range game anyway is still a little ridiculous, and with Cammy, her Season 2 normals. Season 1 normals were already good as is. Why would you need to buff them again? And speaking of Cammy getting buffed again, in 2.5, the meterless DP change is actually a nerf to Cammy, because people like to use the light one due to its easier angle for an anti-air. Now they have to use the medium, which can sometimes miss in certain situations. But I digress. Top 3 in Season 2.5. Balrog, Guile, Cammy for the reasons I mentioned a moment ago. And I'm going to say it right now, the ones who need nerfs, the ones who need buffs. Nerfs are the 3 I just mentioned, Balrog, Guile, Cammy for the reasons I mentioned not that long ago. Buffs? Birdie I think just needs 1 or 2 more ways to get in. Fang needs a better poison game, or Fong, or however you pronounce it. Alex? Honestly, I think they just should have balanced him compared to Season 1 Alex. Just make him like Season 1 Alex exact, and buff him slightly. And he's fine. And then the big 5. Ryu, Ken, Nash, Chun-Li, and Juri. Juri has next to freaking nothing right now and needs a drastic overhaul. Ken, I agree with the EX Air Tatsu being punishable now. I don't agree with nerfing the downward hitbox. To that end, I especially don't agree with nerfing the speed of his normals. He's supposed to be a fast, flashy Shoto for crying out loud. Nash? Bring him close to Season 1, except for the backdash. Keep that like it is in Season 2. I wholeheartedly approve of that backdash nerf, because now he can't just play runaway all day long. I still feel like nerfing his normals was a bit too much, though. Seriously, that was a little bit ridiculous. Chun-Li, we all know. Air legs. They need to be able to combo into light attacks again. And, for good measure, bring at least some of her Season 1 damage back. Not all the way, but close. And then there's Ryu. With the exception of general changes to the game, there are 5 in particular that I want for Ryu. Well, general changes to the game, I mean just 4 in particular, because my number 1 change for him would be a system change. 4 big changes. Allowing his air tatsu to be used at least from a neutral jump. Maybe not so much back jump, so Akuma doesn't have the excuse of, oh, I can't do jump back air fireball, but Ryu can do jump back air tatsu. Not like you'd be using that other than meter building purposes anyway. But still, make his air tatsu a cross-up, and at least allow him to do it from a neutral jump. Bring back his Season 1 damage. Improve his normals back to Season 1, except for jumping light kick and standing light punch. Hold on a minute, is that all 4? Normals, damage, air tatsu. Oh yeah, the biggest one of them. Improving his freaking V-trigger. It only lasts like 9 or so seconds. It really needs to last like 13 to 15 and drain less meter per special use. Make it 3 bars to compensate, I really don't care if you do. But as far as system changes, meterless invincible reversals. 2.5 kind of brought them back, and I mostly approve, but the problem lies in the heavy DP. Specifically, strike and projectile invincible frames 3 to 6. Do you see the problem? It can still be meted on frames 1 and 2, meaning crush counters are still ridiculous. So, either bring the DPs back to the way they were in Season 1, or make heavy strike and projectile invincible frames 1 to 6. But either way, give the option to more characters. Nash could easily have it, Guile could, Vega could, Geef's double lariat was invincible back in the SF4 days, not a lot of people knew that though. But yeah, at least a good majority of the cast could have that option now. Make crush counters unsafe on block, unless canceled on the V-trigger. This will discourage the use of them, but it will also encourage proper use of them rather than just throwing them out like YOLO all day long. Reconsider the throw distance for every freaking character. Enough to where the one who did the throw can at least apply pressure if they choose to, but not enough to where they get a freaking throw loop. Guile. So yeah, basically, remove all throw loops, but allow for either offense or defense after a throw. Not to the point of a throw loop, though. That's just dumb. Improving V-reversals. This is something I kind of want to see changed in general. Like, I feel like they need to do a little bit more damage and cause knockdown. That way, the one who did the reversal can at least apply some sort of pressure afterward, like, hey, it's my turn now. Deal with it. Unless they decide to do an invincible reversal right back, but I digress. But yeah, those are like the big system change mechanics, and I think the biggest one, and this isn't so much a system change, but improving zoning for anyone who isn't Guile or Urian. I think I mentioned this already, but just improve the freaking zoning, please. V-skills make zoning next to useless, so I really just want that to come back. I'm actually certain I mentioned this already now, but still. And regarding the Shoto treatment, I may as well get this out of the way right now. This is the last thing I'm really going to talk about. It's gone awful, with the exception of Akuma to an extent. He's at least decent, but Ryu and Ken fucking suck in SF5 right now. Want proof? I actually tweeted to XSK Samurai himself, asking for his opinion. His response, and I quote, "It sucks ass." End quote. No sugarcoating, no none of that. I'll put the tweet link in the description. And even further proof? Ryu Legend himself, Daigo the Beast Umehara, had to drop Ryu for Guile. He didn't want to, in fact he struggled to make Ryu work for 3 freaking months, but he had to. To even stand a chance in Season 2, he had to make the switch. The reason I say had to, despite it being his choice, is because of how awful the balancing is in Season 2. Yeah, that's kind of a problem. I feel nerfing the Shotos this badly is inexcusable, not just for newcomers, but for series veterans as well. Make them at least strong, not like overpowered, just strong. Kind of like Ryu in Super Turbo. He could damn well hold his own against the Big Five, which were Old Sagat, Vega, Dhalsim, Balrog, and Chun-Li. He could damn well hold his own, both in his Super Turbo version and in his new Challengers version. Make him somewhat similar to that. Not like straight up similar, as in the same movesets and all that, but make him similar in terms of power. And then there's one final thing I may as well mention, the Super Street Fighter V rumor. I'm going to be talking about that next time because there's some potential with that. And by that I mean, some of my old favorites might be coming back. Yes! Oh, trust me, if you've known me long enough, you would already know who I'm talking about. 2 in particular. Another character I'm actually kind of surprised is coming back, although I am kind of pleased because it's nice to see that kind of character return. Another one I'm okay with for story purposes, and the other 2 I really don't give a damn about. Honestly. But yeah, I am running out of time on recording, so I may as well wrap this up. I am Sonic Smash Bro, and although the meme I don't think is popular anymore, I've still got to say it because of how bad he still is. Hashtag make Ryu great again.